Check. Hello. Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, welcome to our live stream today. I actually just got finished viewing a 2-day summit about cryptocurrencies and how taxation works around it and how different things around like NFTs and metaverse works. Like, I was pretty blown away by all the information. If anybody's interested, it was from a guy named Mark J. Kohler, who's a CPA, who is super awesome. I want to thank you for joining me today. This is actually really cool. It's a beautiful day out there on Friday. I don't know where you guys are tuning in from, but out here in Oklahoma, it's super nice. So I figured, you know what? After just learning all this information, why don't I actually put together a live stream and actually talk to people about what cryptocurrency actually is and what it isn't? Because there's a whole lot of misinformation out there. And I figured after just attending a 2-day summit, there's got to be some great information that I can share with you guys. And a lot of this, I don't want to, dive down into some of like the super boring aspects of crypto. I want to talk about some of the things that are exciting. I want to talk about the things that are going to apply to the music business and how this all works. And I know some of you out there, and I totally don't blame you, some of you out there are like, cryptocurrencies, isn't that kind of scammy, Bored Ape stuff? Like, what even is that kind of stuff? I'm actually going to be breaking down what the good aspects about this are and the bad aspects as well, because you have to have a fair perspective about this. Nothing in the world is just totally amazing. There are some drawbacks, obviously, but I want to talk about how this is also going to apply to the music business, because here's the lowdown, guys. Cryptocurrency isn't going anywhere. Sure, maybe Bored Apes are going to lose their popularity within the next year or so. I'm sure I can't imagine that fad lasting very long. But as far as the technology that is underlying all this stuff, that's going nowhere. In fact, governments are starting to adopt this technology inside of their own central currency systems. And they're also like, this technology opens up so many things for artists that we're going to get into today. But fundamentally, when people talk about cryptocurrency, they talk about NFTs, they talk about all this different kind of stuff. You need to cut through the noise of people telling you that, oh, this is all just a fad, this is going to go away. Because the fact of the matter is maybe Bitcoin may someday go away. Maybe some of these coins will go away. I actually doubt Bitcoin will go away anytime soon. But some of this stuff may go away, but the technology is not going anywhere. So we need to make sure that we understand what's going on. Now, I want to mention real quick that my program, The Money Smart Musician, where we actually dive into cryptocurrency, and not just cryptocurrency, we dive into all different kinds of things that are important to musicians who are trying to get their business right and get their finances right. I'm doing an 80% off deal that's only going to be lasting until about next Saturday. So make sure that you guys, if you're interested in learning more about just general financial education, whether it's cryptocurrency, real estate, investing in your own business, all this kind of different stuff, I have access to that until next Saturday, 80% off for you guys. So just go to www.moneysmartmusician.com and go ahead and check it out. Yeah, for some reason, you do need the www. I don't know why it's like that. But okay, so let's jump into some of the meat of what I want to talk about today. Now, I'm also going to bring up a special little thing that I have here. Boom. Doesn't that look pretty cool? We got the musician mastery triangle spinning in the background. I've also got a little iPad, as you can see, in front of me. And so this is the stuff I'm going to be using to break down some of these concepts, because I can't just verbalize it all. I know if you've seen any of my musician mastery episodes in the past, that you know I can pretty much just talk forever and ever about whatever. But I want to give you guys some visual demonstrations as well. So I hope you guys are excited to dive into this stuff, because this is really exciting. This is really the future, guys. We're talking about where the world is going and where things are turning into. So if you're ready, here we go. what I want to talk about first and foremost is like, what is cryptocurrency? And really, what I really want to dive into is blockchain. So fundamentally speaking, blockchain is a way to verify ownership of something, to verify transactions. It's basically something that cannot be tampered with because you have these blocks. So let's say I have a little block here that's the starting block of my blockchain. So they call this the Genesis block because it's what starts this whole chain of events. And what happens is, let's say you're Bitcoin, and anytime somebody, let's say somebody buys or sells some Bitcoin, there's a transaction that's added to this chain, and that's telling you like, okay, there was an encrypted, it's all encrypted and stuff, so you can't get into these blocks, but it's transparent. Like, it's showing you that there was a transaction between, this big long number and this big long number. There's no names associated to the numbers associated with this here, but what it's telling you is there was a verifiable transaction that took place right here. And as more people buy and sell Bitcoin, these encrypted boxes keep getting added, or should I call them blocks, keep getting added to the blockchain. Very simple process. And so you can do anything with this kind of stuff. Real estate investors are starting to put like their contracts into this ledger where they have it, where inside of here is a contract with some terms for a real estate deal, and then as they add more contracts, these contracts can't be tampered with or altered in any kind of way because they're encrypted inside of these blocks. Pretty cool, right? So it's just a way to like verify a transaction digitally and have it not be able to be tampered with. And there's different kinds of crypto protocols. I mean, I'm not going to say currencies because some of them aren't necessarily currency, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But there's certain protocols that use something called peer-to-peer verification, where what happens is a whole copy is made of this blockchain and is sent to, let's say, some other person right here, and sent to this person over here, and to this network of people. And each of these people have to verify, yep, that is the original blockchain. There's been no tampering. There's been no like someone tried to insert a block that was going to get the whole thing hacked, or inserted a faulty block, or a transaction that didn't go down, or some kind of thing like that. You have to have all these people, and it's not just 3 people. It's just what I can fit here. You can just keep going and keep going, and there's more and more people that are inside of this peer-to-peer network. But what happens is they verify transactions. And you may say, why would they verify the transactions? Well, usually the cryptocurrency, let's say you're dealing with Bitcoin, right? What happens is if you verify this transaction, right, these people are rewarded with some Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is that they're using peer-to-peer network verification to help verify, right? So this is just a way that you can visualize it, where you can see the blocks in the blockchain, and inside of these blocks are transactions, smart contracts, different things like that, depending on where the protocol you're going is, whether that's Ethereum or you're going to Bitcoin or things like that. And you have to have people verify these things so that you know that the ledger that you're looking at is accurate. So that's really the basic fundamentals. We talk more in depth about this in the Money Smart Musician program, which, like I mentioned, is 80% off for about a week or so. So get in where we're talking more about this stuff. But fundamentally, that's the basics. That's what blockchain is. And so when I refer to crypto, whether that's cryptocurrencies, NFT, metaverse, all of that technology is founded and kind of based around blockchain technology. Okay. So now that we understand a bit about what blockchain technology is, let's scroll up a little bit, see if I can get a little bit more space here. Oops, get out of there. Sorry, y'all. How do I get out of you? There we go. Awesome. So what I want to go into next is like, what does it do? So what I'm going to talk about is the difference between collectibles and utility. Collectibles and then utility. Okay? So fundamentally, these are 2 different types of cryptocurrencies that you're going to be dealing with, okay? And there should be a hard line between these 2 things. Now, I want you to think about collectibles kind of like anything that's collectible, like, baseball cards or something, or, basketball cards, things like that. Like these things are collectible. So for instance, you have people that really love Michael Jordan, right? And some people are such big of fans of Michael Jordan that they want specific cards. Like I want his rookie year basketball card. And then I want, he actually was in baseball for a little bit. I want his baseball card because it's rare because he was only in the league for a little bit. I want his specific year where they won the championship. I want his card. And here is something that you guys all need to understand when it comes to the collectible side of this, which is the definition of a collector of anything, whether that's collector of musical, whether it's guitars, drums, bass, you collect that, whether you collect gear, like audio gear and studio stuff. The definition of a collector is somebody that likes the collectible more than the money. Like that's the definition of a collector. If you look at somebody who collects art, right? Big paintings by Monet and Van Gogh and Picasso and people like that. Like if someone's like, man, who would pay $100 million for a Picasso? There's no painting that is worth $100 million. And it's the wrong frame of reference. It's not about the painting objectively being worth $100 million. That's not the point. The point of a collectible is that it has subjective value based on the collector. So yeah, there will be some people that like to quote unquote collect guitars. But if I came up to you and I said, hey, it's going to cost $10,000 for this guitar that was owned by Elvis or something, some people are going to be like, $10,000 for Elvis's guitar? No, thank you. But some people are going to be such huge Elvis fans that they're like, dude, I get Elvis's guitar for $10,000? Sign me up. Because the definition, like I said, of a collector is somebody that likes the collectible more than the money. Because you and I would look at somebody and go, man, who would pay, for some people, $100 million for a piece of art? Who could pay something like that? Well, we're not the art collectors, so it doesn't make sense to us. But if you're the art collector, you see the value of a Monet painting. If you see the value of a Picasso and a Van Gogh and people like this, you understand that there's some sort of subjective value there to you. So all a collectible is a digitized, I'm talking about like blockchain, NFTs, things like this. So I'll put NFT at the top. Let me see if I can scroll up here. NFTs, right? So we've got ones that are collectibles. So you can have things like, now let me actually erase this real quick so I can free up some space here where la-di-da-di-da. I want to show you guys a little bit more like digitized versions of things. So collectibles, like I said, could be things like art, okay? Things like art classify as collectible. Things like, let's say, music. Again, it's music is art, but I'm talking to musicians here specifically. So I want you to know, like, art, generally speaking, like physical painted art, or graphic design art, that's where the Bored Ape thing comes to play. So I'll just put like in here, I'll put, Bored Apes. And then here we have where like artists have given fans access to NFTs because it gives them some sort of ownership right into the music. But honestly, there's different thoughts on this. I don't think that's a particularly valuable strategy as opposed to what it could be, but that is what some people are doing. Now, you can have different digital collectibles that are inside of games. So I'm going to put like game skins, right? Or the skin on a gun inside of a game, right? Those type of things are valuable to people that are playing those games all the time. Now, I stopped playing video games a long time ago, and I don't cast any judgment on anybody that plays video games. I understand why they play them. They're super fun, and so I totally get it. But the people that are inside of these games, right, they have a sense of like there is value in having the skins inside of that game or the avatars inside of that game. So to me, those type of things would be considered collectible. Now, there may be an argument that it's on the other side of this, which I'm going to jump to right now, which is utility NFTs. Now, there's a guy named Mark J. Kohler that I talked about. I attended his tax crypto summit, which was fantastic, by the way. He is trying to pioneer these two phrases, which is, I think it's CNFT and UNFT, basically meaning collectible NFT and utility NFT. And the reason there's this hard line between them is because things like Memberships. Memberships are a huge aspect of utility inside of the NFT community. I want to give you an example. Guys like Gary Vee, he's kind of like the cliche example of who's like championing NFTs right now. And one of the things he's done, he's invested in this venture where it's a restaurant where the only way that you can get access to that restaurant is to have that restaurant's NFT. So it's an NFT only membership restaurant. Now, some of you may be thinking, Dax, that's such like a niche idea. Why would anybody care? Is because that's just one application. I want you to think of going to Starbucks one day. And yeah, right now, Starbucks has like these plastic, maybe they give you a plastic membership card. Maybe it's just some account that's on a phone, right? But you have some sort of membership program that you have with them. Well, what if they started putting out an NFT that gave you access to different things that nobody else who didn't have the NFT could get access to? Like, wouldn't that be amazing? So you walk in, let's say you go to your favorite store in the mall and you have that store's NFT. And because you have that NFT, you get 30% off of anything in the store because you have this NFT. And all your friends, when they go to try to get the 30%, if they don't have the NFT, they can do a little scan and show, oh, you don't have ownership of that. I'm sorry, you don't get access to the 30% off. Now, I want to kind of debunk some things where people don't understand. That's why I talk about like understanding the technology that is underneath these things that we're talking about, like Bored Ape and membership utility tokens and all these different kind of things. You have to understand something. Like when people are like, well, Dax, with the whole Bored Ape thing, why couldn't I just take a screenshot and now I have the same JPEG? It's like, yeah, that's how the internet has operated forever since pretty much the internet existed. There was no way to verify that you had ownership of something and no way to discern whether it was just a copy of the original. That was one of the things that the internet, Web 2.0, that was one of the features of it. And so people would just steal memes, put their name on the memes. They would do all kinds of different things. And there would be no way to digitally verify whether that was yours or just a screenshot of somebody else's thing. There was no way to tell. Well, with the introduction of blockchain and NFTs and things of this sort, there are ways to verify if you are an original owner of a digital asset. So think about that for a second. It used to be where, yeah, you could screenshot it and now you could say, I have the picture too. But what if there's technology built into the image now, built into that to where if you actually owned it, I could verify that. I could scan your phone or something and I could verify that you actually owned an NFT because it's on this block in the blockchain. But somebody else tries to bring me a screenshot and they try to scan it and nothing happens. Why? Because they just have an image. They don't have an image with the technology built underneath it to verify the ownership. So if you ever see like why people who are in the crypto space get all pissed off when you talk about screenshotting it, is because they're getting mad because those people are missing the fundamental argument here, which is like, yes, you could screenshot it. Does it mean that you own it now? No. I mean, you could lie to people that don't have a way to verify stuff's on the blockchain and say, hey, I own a Bored Ape. But as soon as somebody has the technology to verify that, they can swipe basically, whoop, no, you don't own that. That's a screenshot, dude. That's just a screenshot. And then somebody with the actual technology can go, whoop, see, I own it. And I get access to whatever that entails. Now, for collectibles, I don't really think you get access to anything other than the collectible, to my understanding. Which is fine. Like I said, if you are a collector and you value that thing more than the money. But for me, where I think the future of the music business is going to be when it comes down to cryptocurrency and blockchain and all this kind of stuff is with utility, okay? So fundamentally speaking, something has to have usefulness, right? It has to have some sort of value to even be worth pursuing. So like I said, memberships are one ways of doing it. Now, I think the membership thing encompasses a lot of different options, right? It encompasses a lot of different things where you can talk about like what people get by being a member. So I use the example of the big fancy restaurant that's like, okay, if you go ahead and you like join our restaurant, then all of a sudden you're going to get access, if you get our NFT, you're going to have access to the restaurant. Where that's like cool, right? It depends on what's inside the restaurant that would make that even valuable in the first place. But if you're a musician and you can give your fans access to something that's really cool. You can give them access to like free VIP upgrades for life, right? Like that's something Avenged Sevenfold, a hard rock heavy metal band, did recently, where they actually went through and said, okay, if you buy certain NFTs, you're going to get like backstage pass for life or front row seats for life or something of that nature. And so think about that as a fan of a band. Let's say maybe you don't like Avenged Sevenfold, but insert any popular artist that you happen to enjoy. Let's say they put out an NFT, and if you purchase that NFT, you get access to get closer to that artist. You get access to specific merch. Some of these things you like you're getting access to and then have to pay for. Some of these things you're just getting access to and get it because you have the NFT. So there's different ways of approaching this, but you can hopefully the wheels are going to start to turn now because you understand that like, okay, wait a second. So I can create an NFT, which by the way, someone's like, you keep saying NFT, what is it? Honestly, it's called a non-fungible token. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means that it's not like paper money. Where paper money, my dollar bill isn't really that much different from your dollar bill. Because even though they're like probably made from different times and have different serial numbers and all that kind of stuff, I can still purchase the same with my $1 as you can with your $1. Where a non-fungible token, you can have two Bored Apes, but they are not the same at all. They're completely separate, and you cannot exchange them as if they're one for one the same, right? So that's the difference between something that's fungible and non-fungible. Again, this is stuff that we talk about more in depth inside of the Money Smart Musician program, which, like I said, is 80% off right now for a short period of time. So go ahead, get access to that if you haven't already. But memberships are really, to me, that's where the big stuff's going to happen, because you can give people access to like private events. You can give people access to merchandise. Like some people may think merchandise may fall into the collectible side. I think it would depend on what kind of merchandise it was. But like, for instance, it has to have utility. Maybe I'll say like in parentheses, exclusive merchandise. This can't just be merchandise anybody can get, right? So there has to be some frame in your audience's mind of this is valuable to me. So if you're an artist, you're a musician, what are the things that you have that you can offer of value to your fan base? Well, the biggest thing that you can offer is the closer they can get to you, right? So there's a reason that when you go to a show, the GA ticket, which is like, let's say $50, is cheaper than the VIP tickets, which get you like in this specific seating section, which is cheaper than the platinum, which gets you even closer. And then there's like all access backstage pass, which gets you not just in the front row, but you can go behind the stage, right? So you can see that as you get closer, literally, even just in proximity to the artist, the value increases on how you get that kind of access. So the backstage pass there's a reason it can go upwards as like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for certain artists like Beyonce and Jay-Z and people like that. There's a reason they can charge that much, because you're getting like intimate one-on-one access with those people, as opposed to like you just paid for a GA seat and you're sitting at the top of the arena. You're like the furthest in proximity away from the artist, so of course you're only going to pay like $50 to get that ticket, right? So you understand, like when something has more value to your fan, that is something that can be included inside of, let's say, your utility NFT or your UNFT, as Mark J. Kohler would say it. So these are just like some basic examples. I'm trying to give like a 10,000-foot overview, because really we could dive into real specific stuff. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to see like what's possible. Now, some people are like, Dax, this is all a scam, because like what's the real value in something like Bitcoin and yada, yada, yada. I want to give you guys something that really blew my mind once I first understood it, okay? The reason I don't think that cryptocurrency as a whole is a scam is because of the reason I don't think the internet as a whole is a scam. So let me explain what I mean and use this this iPad to kind of demonstrate it. Let's say we have a timeline here, okay? Let's say this is present day. Let's say this is 2000, okay? Now, what happens? in 2000. Does anybody remember what happened? This big event that happened? Well, we had a big recession, right? Some people like to call it the dot-com bubble. What happened was the internet had just kind of, as we know it today, right, where you can have search engines and search the web, and there's websites that have all these different things on them. When that was very first coming onto the scene, right, nobody really knew where it was going to go. Like today, we know what it is because it is what it is. But that's just because we have 2020 hindsight. If you're in the year 2000, you have no idea what the internet is about to turn into. And because of that, there's this big picture like, wow, look at the future that we're heading into, right? Do you remember that in 2000? Everyone was like, some of you are a little bit too young to remember that, but for those of you that were around in 2000, everyone was like, this internet thing is going to change the world, right? And so there was a big rush in the stock market. Everyone was buying internet companies, like even internet companies that had no way of making money. They just said like, we're this.com, and that's a great domain name, so invest in us. People were like, yeah, let me throw my life savings at that. And so you had this giant bubble of companies that really weren't of any value. And all the companies, by the way, were being crooked and taking huge bonuses and vacations and all this kind of stuff, even though their company really wasn't generating any revenue. What? So what happened is everyone started realizing that these internet companies were kind of propped up on nothing. And they started saying things like, the internet's a scam. All these .com companies are a scam. So they started pulling their money. And then what happens? We have a huge decline. We have a huge recession where all this stuff just bottoms out. But let me kind of fast forward through some of the grim stuff. So let's get to hopefully you've seen the analogy between what I'm talking about now from the 2000 era and Bitcoin, because it's the same mindset. It's literally history repeating itself, but just in a different formation, right? You have these people with this brand new technology that opens up our possibilities of like, wow, what is possible? And some people who would have thought misused it, right? But let me kind of demonstrate to you where the hope should be here. Because listen, did the internet go away? No, the internet didn't go away. All these inflated companies that were based on zero value bottomed out and got rid of them. But what companies remained? The companies that remained are the companies we think of now. The companies like Amazon, companies like Microsoft, companies like Facebook, companies like Google. All of these companies managed to make it through it because they had technology that actually had some value. Think about it. I think it was pet.com or something like that. It didn't have anything going for it. There was no e-commerce on it whatsoever. And there's people like, yeah, I'm gonna invest in that. And then there's this Amazon company who originally starts in sending people books. Like, okay, at least there's some value in that, right? So companies like Amazon, and they weathered the storm. And out of this crash that happened in the 2000s, there were actual internet companies that weren't propped up on nothing and just a bunch of money and investment. They're actually real companies doing real stuff. So now we have the internet as we know it today. This is a huge analogy to what's happening right now, guys. So let's just all of a sudden, let's erase the years and start over. Oops, let me erase it here on the old iPad. And let's say that we're taking this frame of reference here now. I think what's going to happen is, we actually may be closer to here. But the point of the matter is, when it comes down to it, we have a brand new technology that's in front of us, a brand new technology. Now, granted, it's actually been out for like 10 years at this point, but that's still in the beginning phases of a brand new technology. Because think about it, the internet, quote unquote, existed for a long time before Web 2.0 as we know it today came around. So we can be in a situation where it's like, this is a brand new technology, but not everyone's it's not at its fullest potential and adaptation in the marketplace yet. So what happens, do you think? I think what's going to happen is, this is kind of bugging me. So I'm going to move this maybe a little bit more to right here. Okay. So what we have is probably around here is where we're at. Let's say this is 2020. Okay. So after the COVID collapse, what we had was a huge incline, right? We had a huge incline in the marketplace. This was actually a time when I remember the market was at its bottom, and I was like, man, we need to start putting more money into the market right now. And so I immediately made sure I started building my portfolio at the bottom of the market because I understood that was where the opportunity was. Now we're coming up on something very similar here, guys, where we're having a huge influx, right? Everyone's all hopped up on NFT, metaverse, Bitcoin right here, and then things start to go down, right? And I think this is important. We want things to go down. That sounds counterintuitive. Dax, why would we want things to go down? I don't want my investment to go down. Well, you have to be smart about this and maybe withdraw your investment if we're not here at the very bottom quite yet. Then I would suggest not, what would you say? I wouldn't like take your money out and then never put it back in, obviously. But maybe you can harvest some losses. Again, I'm not a CPA or a tax attorney, so go verify that with your own CPA and tax attorneys. But you can harvest losses to counterbalance maybe profits that you're going to make. So there's ways to, utilize a loss. It doesn't just have to be a total punch in the gut. But here's what I'm telling you guys. We are in like this little area here. We don't know exactly where we're going to, where that is specifically, but we know that we're somewhere close. And so what you should be thinking then is like, okay, if this is where we're at, maybe I can get in here within the next 1 or 2 years, because what happens? A technology is propped up by a bunch of scammers. So let's say Bitcoin, now I actually shouldn't even say Bitcoin. It's mostly what you would call altcoins. Now, altcoins are basically anything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But fundamentally, how you could think about it is like this. You have a brand new technology, just like we had with the internet, right? You have this brand new technology. And what happens is people start getting sold on the hype, right? More than actually sold on the technology and the fundamentals and what's actually going to last through the future. You have people that are getting sold on potential, I'm going to make a whole bunch of money someday. I'm going to make a whole bunch of money one day. I'm going to be super rich. And they're getting sold on that idea, but they're not paying attention to the fundamental technology that's underneath all this stuff. So the ones that understand the technology and how that's going to apply to our future lives, those are the people that are actually going to be able to take advantage of this, as opposed to the people that are just trying to make a quick buck and don't even really understand what's going on. And those people get, I'm sad to say this, those people are very susceptible to pump and dump schemes. So a pump and dump scheme is basically where somebody pumps up, let's say, if I got rid of this real quick, let's say, this is a coin, let's say. You've got this coin, and I tell you that it's, let's call it moon coin or something, right? Some scammy moon coin. And everyone's like, this is amazing. This is going to be the best thing ever. And then once it gets to the top, because I have like a big position in this, because I'm the founder, right? So I probably bought up a whole bunch of this moon coin. As soon as it gets to the top of the market, I just take out my profits, and all of a sudden the moon, it crashes like that, except it doesn't come back up. It just crashes for good. So, I mean, things like that, they're pretty messed up. I feel bad for people that fall for these scams, but you have to be aware of what you're buying. Don't just buy things because some dude on Reddit said it's going to be the big, the next big thing. You have to understand exactly who owns it, where is the money coming from, all this kind of good stuff. But to me, this is what's going to happen. Now, where in this cycle we're at, I have no idea. And anybody that claims to know that is probably lying to you, because nobody can predict the future. But if we look at how history repeats itself, there is a moment where we have a brand new technology, right? This brand new technology gets sold. I'll just put like new tech, and I'm going to call it hype. Hell, you could even call it euphoria around it. And then what happens is the crash. And then after all of these scammy coins are done, after all these altcoins, now I'm not saying all altcoins are scams. I'm saying that if you're a scammer, you're probably an altcoin. It's one of those kind of things. But put it this way, there is going to be a crash where people are like, man, all these crypto scams, I'm tired of it. I'm just taking my money out and I'm not doing anything with it. And there will be a crash. And we could be in the middle of that right now. Or we could be like halfway through it. Here's the way I would think about it. This is something I tell my Money Smart musicians all the time. You would rather be the second person in line on the way up than the first person in line on the way down. And so what I mean by that is when things start to crash, things start to crash, right? You don't want to be the person that's like, I'm gonna, you know, like I'm talking about buying. By the way, this is like buy the dip stuff. You don't want to be the person that buys the dip right here, right? If you bought the dip here, it's tiny little, like it dipped just a little bit, and you bought it, you're screwed. Look how much further down it's gonna go, and you're gonna buy it, and it's gonna continue to crash, and you're like, oh, this is all a scam. But the problem was you bought too soon, right? Wait. I would rather you be the second person in line here than the first person in line up here. You see what I'm saying? So, because here, at least now we have some verifiable trends here, here, here. We have some verifiable trends that's going upwards. So I'd rather you buy around here because you actually know it's going up than someone who bought here because, oh, it went down a little bit. So buy the dip. Let it finish dipping, guys. You know what I'm saying? Don't buy the dip as soon as you see a market fluctuation. That's rookie stuff. You need to make sure it actually bottoms out. Let it, let that thing that you're going to buy. This is like something true even within the stock market. It doesn't just have to be cryptocurrency, but the fundamentals are the same here, where you need to understand, like, okay, I would rather buy it here or here or here than buy it here and then just lost all this value. You see what I'm saying, guys? You don't want that to happen. Now, what happens after the crash? Well, hopefully after the crash, what you have is adoption, right? People actually start widespread, I'll call it widespread adoption. Widespread adoption. I think that's what happens on this way up, right? So you have new tech beginning, right? And now all of a sudden we have this hype and euphoria because it's going to the moon, right? So that just looks like a C. I was trying to draw a moon. That just looks like a C. So we're gonna get rid of that. So people are like, oh, it's gonna be euphoria. It's gonna go to the moon. Oh my gosh. And then sad face. Then it crashes. All right. And this is where a lot of people start to throw out the claims of it's a scam. See, I told you, yada, yada, yada. Wait it out. Wait the storm out and wait for some verifiable movement up. Okay. You need to know that it's actually going to continue to go up. And by the way, I'm drawing these lines very straight. If you're looking at it from a close perspective, these lines are going to be like that's probably more likely what a market will look like day to day. But just kind of looking at the big picture of it, the macro perspective, this is what it's going to actually look like. So where are we? Again, I don't know, but I would make a big guess that we're somewhere around here. Okay, we're somewhere around here. Now, we could not be there. Who knows, guys? There's been so many dips in the crypto market that there's been so many great places to make money. I remember people were complaining like, wow, Bitcoin fell down to like $2 a share. I'm glad I never bought that piece of crap. And this was back like when it very first came out. And now it's like, even on a bad downturning market, it's over 28,000. It's like, okay, well, I think those people probably missed out, right? So chill out, relax. I know some people may freak out that we're in this particular place, but I would rather you be, like I said, the second person in line on the way up than be the first person in line on the way down, okay? So now that we have like a big picture perspective of this, like this technology is not going away, guys. So I just gave you kind of a big picture historical perspective as to how technologies do this. So like the internet, you have new technology, you have new tech, and then it turns into hype and euphoria because everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the biggest thing. I'm going to make $1 million or whatever. And then it crashes because you can't, that's not sustainable, obviously. And then you have actual widespread adoption of the fundamental technologies, not the scammy hype stuff that existed during the euphoria age, right? So we understand the history of this now. So how's it actually going to work in the music business? What's actually going to start happening? I think we're going to very quickly start to see things where, let's just make some circles here. So this is the music business, right? There's a whole lot of things inside of the music business. Let's talk about live music. right? So this live music, what's going to change? I think what you're going to have are tickets that are turned into NFTs, right? I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to verify your ticket on a blockchain. See, again, don't, some people hear like the phrase NFT and they're like, ah, you know, again, we talked about this. If you understand the fundamental technology of blockchain that we talked about up here, then you understand what's actually being tied into this. So what's going to happen is they're going to take this ticket that you purchase and figure out a way to tie it to a blockchain so that people can't just start, you know, scamming and doing all this kind of stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever bought a concert ticket recently, but there's so many scammers out there that will, like, sometimes it's scalpers that just buy all the tickets and then resell them at huge, you know, higher prices and stuff like that. We don't want that in our industry anymore. And this could actually be a way for artists to take control back and give fans what they want without charging them $1 billion. As soon as our band Kira had the opportunity to, like, how much are we going to charge our fans if we have the price? Are we going to have any fees? No, we're not going to do handling fees and holding fees and all these kind of things. But I think, to be honest with you, this kind of technology will help make it to where artists can have more of a say-so and control over what their ticket prices are and actually what those tickets provide. So that's the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to tickets. Let's go over here. There's VIP tickets, right? Now, what is your VIP ticket going to do? Well, I think you're going to have, you know, obviously an NFT associated with it, but a VIP ticket is going to give you access to, you know, benefit number 1, benefit number 2, benefit number 3. Like, you know, you get access to, let's say you get to have sound check access, and then you get access to a private lunch with the band, or you get access to a meet and greet, or you know, there's all these bonuses and benefits that can come with the NFT ticket. So I think that's just one aspect that we'll see inside of the music business. I think there will be different ways where inside of a, that's okay, I can draw it here. So let's call it the fan club, right? You got the fan club. What are you going to offer inside the fan club? Well, the fan club could be itself an NFT, and that ownership will give people access to, like, lifetime front row. Maybe it gives them access to private shows where only people inside of your fan club who own this NFT can have access to your private show. Maybe your fan club gives you access, by this NFT gives you access to exclusive merch. Exclusive merch. Right? So you've got all this stuff that can be tied to your fan club through an NFT. Now, why would somebody want to tie it to an NFT? To verify ownership of the given asset or the given collectible, okay? That's why somebody would want to do that. There are some people, like, think about Netflix. They have a problem where users are sharing their passwords, right? There is probably a way that Netflix could use blockchain technology to verify that the person who purchased the NFT or whatever can have access to this. And if somebody else tried to put in the password, like, you would have to have someone who gave away, like, maybe the API for your crypto wallet or something, or gave away really private information, so that would de-incentivize people to do that. Or maybe they just may have it to where, like, they can verify that you have to scan your NFT somewhere. Like, I'm telling you guys, people think this technology is going to go away, that it's a fad. Think about things like this. There was once a time cassette players inside of cars. Okay? There's cassette players inside of cars for a long time. Everyone just assumes that cars, if they're going to be made, there's going to be a cassette player in it. Well, then what happens? Well, then you have the advent of a thing like a CD. Okay, so for a while, car companies were like, okay, well, we'll throw the CD player in there, but we're still going to keep that cassette player there, because most people, obviously, come on, they listen to their music via cassettes, guys. Well, what happens as time goes on? People start adopting more just like, I just want to buy the CDs. I don't really care about cassettes. That's kind of an old, outdated technology. Okay, so what do car companies start doing? They start taking out the cassette player. Okay, what's happening now? We have CDs in cars for generations, and everyone has this assumption this is how things are. There's always CD players in cars, right? No. What's happening now, for instance, my Tesla Model S has no CD input. It has to be all Bluetooth, all digital. That is something that car companies are going to start adapting more. Like basically, if you want a CD player, you're going to have to go buy a radio from a third party that has the CD player built into it at that point and have it installed into the radio, because a lot of radios will eventually not have CDs anymore. Now, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about where everyone assumes that because technology has gone a certain way for a certain period of time that it will always go that way. Guys, it will become very apparent to me, like I can see in the near future scanners that are on televisions that verify NFT ownership. So if you have access to some app with some NFT, you can probably go up to something on your computer, or on not your computer, but maybe your computer, your television, and you like hover a QR code or something, and you're going to be able to get access to something because you have the NFT and you can verify it with that technology. Hell, if you want to call me out on it, call me out on it. But I'm telling you guys right now, someday that technology is coming, and it's coming fast. So you guys need to understand how to position yourself in a way you can actually take advantage of these type of things. This is really important stuff because people think, oh, this is how it's going to be forever. This is how it's going to be forever. And then as soon as stuff changes, people shift and don't do what they expect them to do. All of a sudden they're looking like, wait, what? They're actually doing NFTs? I thought we didn't like that stuff. It's like, no, you didn't like it, and you chose to ignore the actual changes that were happening in the world. It's not about whether the technology is fundamentally good or fundamentally bad. Just like the internet back in 2000 was not fundamentally bad or good. You had some good actors that were building good companies inside of the internet, and you had some bad actors that were building scammy, valueless companies and just trying to rip off people, right? That exists in the crypto area, in the crypto industry today. There are people that are trying to set up coins that actually do the purpose they're out to do, which is sometimes it's decentralization of finance, so DeFi. Sometimes it's gaming, like trying to make gaming stuff better, because I haven't played games in a long time, but apparently games suck right now, where you have to pay for everything. It's all pay to play, pay to progress, and all this kind of stuff. So for my gamers out there, I bet you guys are going to be thinking of great ways to use NFTs to not get ripped off so much by these people. And so there's all this stuff is going to be coming our way in the future. And that, like, a lot of people get stuck in their old ways of like, well, this is how it's always been. What do you mean it's going to change? It's like, it's going to change. That's how the world works. Things change, okay? So I don't want you guys to get left behind. I want you guys to understand the stuff that's happening right now, and that's why we've gone through all this. So I think in the music business, there's going to be tons of areas where people can verify ownership of something to get a reward, get a benefit, get some kind of perk. And to me, like, again, that falls on the utility side of things here, which is where I think really you should be spending most of your time focusing on. To me, this stuff over here is like, this is like storage wars of cryptocurrency. Like, I don't know. That's just the way I think about it a little bit. Maybe the gaming aspect, gaming might actually be somewhere where there can be some profit to be made from you musicians out there. I know some of you guys out there are gamers, and so take advantage. Take advantage of what you know and start, making some money. But the whole idea of this is in collectibles, that's something that is very subjective, very, niche, right? Like when you go on watch Pawn Stars or something like that, there'll be people like, I have this thing and it's really rare. There's not a lot of them and it's in great condition. And they're like, okay, well, that's all well and good, but there's going to be like 4 people in the world that would ever want to buy that, right? So that to me is where the collectibles can kind of go awry and you don't really want to pay too much attention to them. But utilities, that to me is never going to go away because value will never go away. Perceived value will never go away. These are things that will always be here. People will always think of something and go, oh, there's some value in that. I want that. And if you can create NFTs or whatever that has this sort of association to it, where you can have a membership or give them access to private events because you have a ticket that's an NFT, or exclusive merchandise or an exclusive store that only exists for your NFT holders, things like this, guys. I think that is where you should spend most of your time. And, I think you can actually, guys, you think like, oh, it's already, I missed the boat. It's been going on for 5-10 years. I missed the boat, right? No, not true at all. Not true at all, guys. There's so much out there. There's so much opportunity out there for us. And so I would think that really we're in the fundamental, like if I did this sort of a, big history thing, it looks like a mess now. But if I kind of redid that here, if we're looking at the history of Bitcoin, like hell, let me actually just like pull up the price of Bitcoin right now. Right now, pulling up my Coinbase account. 29.24. Okay. So here's what Bitcoin looks like all time. Okay, this is the entire scope of the history of Bitcoin, right? This is the entire scope of it. How many times, like, you're down here, it's new technology, it's new tech. And so years and years and years are going to go by where people are like, I don't really see any value in it. I don't really see any value in it. And then here come the scammers. Here come the scammers, guys. And it's going to go up. But then what happens? We have a crash. And then we have more hype, and we have a crash. Now, do these two again, this is totally just correlated evidence, but like, do these two crashes look awful similar to those two? Just saying, guys. Like, I do think that at some point, and I think maybe we're here, where the bubble is quote unquote bursting. And this is where we need to increase our position. Increase our position. Get that money, y'all. Increase that position. Now, again, in position in what? That's up to you. And then don't take this as an investment, any investment advice. Go always confirm with that with your CPAs and your lawyers and stuff, or whoever you've got. But this is something that I want you guys to understand, is that this technology is not going away. So if you understand fundamentally that technology is not going anywhere, then we need to take advantage of the fact that it's not going anywhere and start positioning ourselves to actually make some money here in the future, guys. So real quick, before we get out of here, I want to just do a couple quick little things. So thank you, so much for joining me on this live stream today. This has been really fun talking about cryptocurrency. This is stuff that I like talking about. Some people out there, they get kind of like flustered and angry about this sort of stuff. But really, when you go and you dive in and you start looking at the fundamentals, you start looking at the technology that this stuff is based upon, you're actually going to start to see what's going on. You're going to see the reality that's in front of you, which is like, oh, wow, this technology is not going anywhere. Governments are starting to adopt this technology. This is going to be the wave of the future. And if I don't understand that, if I don't understand exactly where I'm going with this kind of stuff, then I'm screwed. Fundamentally, that's just the truth. If you don't understand where this is going, you're going to be left behind. And I don't want you to be left behind. So as a way to help kind of incentivize you to like, all right, let's get educated. Let's start learning this stuff so I know exactly what I'm doing. I gave you guys an 80% off deal on the Money Smart Musician program, but this is only going to last for 7 days. I've actually had the Money Smart Musician at this discounted price for quite a while because we've been running what's called a beta phase. I've been running this beta phase to help, get people in the program and get some opinions and like, hey, what do you think about this? Where can we improve? What's some trainings that we can add? And after, communicating with our beta testers and actually figuring this out, we figured out a way, I think, to create one of the best financial education resources that exists out there for musicians. So we've gone through like 2 or 3 iterations of it, and I think it's actually like one of its best iterations right now, but you can still get in before the price goes up, because I'm telling you guys right now, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of my time to get the knowledge to give this to you guys. And so I know this program is easily worth $1,000, but I'm not going to charge $1,000, even when the price goes up, because I want to give musicians an opportunity to get this education. But fundamentally speaking, guys, this is the cheapest that you're going to get this education. Right now, while I have this special deal right now, I defy anybody to find any kind of program out there that helps musicians get their finances in order and their future in order like the Money Smart Musician program does. Because we go in there and I take principles from the people that make the most money and actually distill it to strategies that everybody can use. Because, sometimes people will like to say, oh, you could just do this, but it's some strategy that only like 1% of the population can even do. I like to give musicians strategies that everybody can do, right? You got to figure out what situation works best for you, because some people may go through all this and go, Dax, this all sounds kind of cool and complicated, but I don't even know if I really want to get involved in the whole cryptocurrency thing. Okay, I think it's going to come to your doorstep one way or the other, but there's still plenty of other avenues to make money. And I talk about them in the Money Smart Musician program. So if you want 80% off, you want it for less than $100, right now, go ahead and go to www.moneysmartmusician.com. Yeah, for some reason, if you've never been to the site before, you need the www. I don't know why. GoDaddy's just being kind of weird about it. But go ahead and make sure that you do that kind of stuff and get in while the price is low. Because like I said, once this little deal ends, this offer ends, on the 28th, the price is going to go up to about $400 or $500, and it's going to stay there. Okay, it's not going to change. So I want you guys to get involved in this program while it's still pretty affordable, and anyone can get in. And if you're getting in now, you become a beta tester because we are still technically in beta phase. So you can still submit suggestions and ways to help improve this program before we go ahead and close out the beta program altogether. I have a special group of people that are my beta testers, and you guys will always, you won't ever have to pay anything once the price goes up because you got it locked in at the low rate. But go ahead and become a beta tester today. I look forward to hearing from you guys and helping you grow on your financial journey, because I know, fundamentally speaking, musicians have never really been taught this kind of stuff. They're not really taught this information, whether it's in school, and you can learn it somewhat online, but there's a whole lot of BS out there, and just ciphering through all that kind of stuff to find the stuff that's actually true and actually works is a pain in the butt. And that's why I created this program, because I know there's so much bull crap out there that I want to give you the stuff that actually makes a difference in your life. So if you guys are ready to get educated on your money and on your entrepreneurship, go to www.moneysmartmusician.com and get your 80% off deal. Make sure you do it now. Honestly, don't put this off. I would say do it. You still have till next week, right? You still have till Saturday technically, but I would recommend you take action now, because don't put this off. People that, if you put this off, you may forget about it, and then the price goes up, and then like, oh crap, I forgot all about it. And then you may email me and say, Dax, I was gonna buy it, but the price went up. What can I do? And I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, dude, that sucks. You're screwed kind of. So make sure that you go ahead and get involved now, because this is gonna be absolutely great. I know you're gonna love what's inside the Money Smart Musician program. So thank you again for joining me on this live stream. Hopefully you've learned a lot about cryptocurrency and about blockchain and where the future of this is really heading, and how the music industry is actually going to adopt a lot of these technologies. I think there's ways that, musicians are going to innovate by the day. Every single day there's going to be a musician out there that's forward thinking. And it's probably going to be one of these Money Smart musicians out there that's forward thinking and is going to create a future that actually makes artists' lives better and makes it better for fans too. Because really what we want is the ability to control the environment that our fans are in, so that they don't have to pay so much money, and get extracted with all these fees. Like, I hate fees. Even as just someone who buys concert tickets, fees are so annoying. And I do think that in the future, you're going to have a world where the artist can control the price, and we're going to have ways to verify ownership of tickets and things like this, so that scalpers don't, get involved in this kind of stuff. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I will make sure to make another live stream like this. This was pretty fun. I've actually got the technology now to get my webcam as my camera and all this kind of good stuff, and shift between these scenes and do fancy stuff. So we'll be doing more live streams like this in the future. So until next time, go to www.moneysmartmusician.com, and I look forward to seeing you on any one of those trainings. Take care, guys.